Alright, today we're looking at what would be called a party suit. If you're not familiar with what a party suit is, in late 60s, early 70s, a lot of pilots and air crew stationed in places like Vietnam, Thailand, Korea came up with this concept of a party suit. It was not something that was really worn on combat missions as much as it was just something to wear kind of night on the town. So you'd get a lot of novelty patches on it, and just kind of a fun thing, I guess, that they did. So this is an example of one, and we see that it has quite a few different patches, a variety of them. And we see that this party suit here was actually made in Thailand by a well-known company that made a lot of different party suits at that time. And I think the vast majority of party suits that are Vietnam related are going to actually have been made in Thailand, because that's where several of the large air bases were at. So if you see a party suit and it's not made in Vietnam, it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't somebody that was flying a lot of missions in Vietnam. So we see on the sleeve here, we've got a patch here with 4 different flags on it. This is the Khmer Republic, which is modern day Cambodia. I think it was just for 5 years that it was called the Khmer Republic. And we see the Vietnam flag, the Republic of Vietnam. We see Thailand. And then we see Laos. So, he was flying missions in all 4, I guess over all 4 countries. And we see that he was a T-39 pilot. The T-39 is a pretty small plane. They use it for training sometimes, but there was a reason why he was flying a small plane like that. And that kind of goes into this next patch here, a 7th Air Force Flight Ops Scatback. Now, if you're not familiar with Scatback was a fairly small group of planes that were used for if there were like aerial reconnaissance photos, and those photos needed to be taken to a different part of Vietnam or flown to Thailand or wherever, the Scatback pilots would be the ones that would fly those documents or photos. Sometimes they would fly, if a general needed to go from Saigon to, to some other location, they were sometimes the ones that would transport VIPs. So a fairly small group of pilots that did that. I think you had a pilot, co-pilot, and I think sometimes you had a third member of the crew. So you don't see a lot of things from Scatback. Below that we see kind of a novelty Snoopy patch. Snoopy was very popular at that time. And then below that we see 100 missions over Kathmandu, Singapore, Bangkok, and Hong Kong. And we see for Bangkok, it's got it specified T-39, and for Hong Kong we see it's a C-118. And so, you're flying all over Southeast Asia on certain missions. And we see over on this side, this is probably one of the most common patches that you'll see on party suits. Again, kind of a novelty of Olympics, but it's Southeast Asia War Games. And below that we see another Scatback related patch, Scatback Outstanding Passenger Award, 1972, 1973. Again, kind of a somewhat of a novelty thing, but also tied in with the 7th Air Force Scatback. And then over on the other sleeve, we see you've got a U.S. flag. So on the other sleeve, we had the Khmer Republic, Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos. And on this side, we've got the U.S. flag. And we see the other plane that he flew, the C-118. I believe the C-118 was a little bit bigger than the T-39. So it might have been that when he was flying passengers, like VIPs, maybe that's when he flew a C-118. And maybe when it was just documents and photos and supplies, may have been when he was flying a T-39. So overall, it's a little bit of a unique item from the Vietnam War, and a lot of unique patches and stories behind a party suit. It wasn't just air crew that had party suits. Sometimes you'll even see party suits that are pertaining to guys that were MACV SOG. So it was just kind of a fun thing in general for guys stationed over, like I said, all the way from Korea to places like Thailand and Vietnam. And that about wraps it up. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I encourage you to subscribe. See, I've got a bunch of other videos on other items from World War II to Vietnam. All these items come directly from estate sales and auctions, and try to give a little bit of information on the items and history on them. And if you like that kind of thing, I encourage you to subscribe so you'll get notification when future videos are uploaded. And thanks for watching.